am Master Rob. Welcome to the Liberating Power of the Divine, a sub-branch of Living Your Dreams. Guys, we have to be very mindful of that or be accountable for that. Does anyone else have anything to say about that or get what we're saying here when it comes to being accountable? Let's see. And do you want to speak? You can unmute and say something, or do you need to stay muted? Anna, she may not be able to unmute. I see some text messages, but they're gone. Anybody else want to talk on that, or you guys are okay? Y'all are quiet. Robin, how are you? What about you, Prudence? Can you attest to what I'm saying here?
When you were talking, I was thinking about, my relationship with Albert, and he's not just with technology. He's not the most tech savvy person, and I've encouraged him to take classes, but that's a whole nother story. So I have to, I often have to remind myself because he's not so tech savvy, I have to be patient, or I have the choice to be patient. When he asks me something, I've been working on that because he is open to learning, and my thing is with him, like I don't want to always do it for you, So that means when he asks me for something or knowledge about something, I'm more aware to be patient and take a little bit more time to explain things to him, so he can learn whatever he's asking me about. And the other part was, when you were talking, I was thinking about my grandson, the youngest grandson, because when I communicate with him, I see that he's definitely looking at me and paying attention to what I'm saying. So I want to, whatever I'm asking him to do or letting him know that I, need him to do, I'm very mindful of how I present it, because there have been times when I was kind of, rough, or I didn't present things to him in the best way. And I could definitely see in his facial expressions that he wasn't appreciative of how I came at him with whatever I said to him. So I'm mindful of, him being a sponge and just absorbing everything. And I just want to, give him positive messages, just be a positive example for him, and not be like when I could be aggressive, with how I present things sometimes.
Yeah, that's it's so important, guys, that we do that, because as we begin to have these conversations of healing or apologizing or addressing, whatever we need to address, and in a manner, even in the word told us to be gracious and to do all these wonderful things, or not to come at you, sideways or what have you, because I think we can all be bad. The thing is, what is it? How does it affect us? How does it affect self also, as well as the other person? Um, so that's important. Again, how you are treating others, or how you're being perceived. So we have to work on being the best version of ourselves. Then we can get that back, like we always said we want. Now, I want to bring your attention to the fact that if one is willing to make adjustments, it is how we again make that adjustment, because we could make an adjustment and come in love, or we could still be like, oh, you understand, that's just how I am. And so when you mix it up and say, that's just how I am, that's just my character, have you really made an apology? Or you just justifying the fact that, look, you ain't moving fast as I want you to, so that whatever, and we can continue that same stank attitude. And once again, attitude determines everything in life. It determines where you're going in life, how high you're going to go. It determines everything. So if your attitude is wrong, you are not going to take off. Uh,
yeah, I would like to say this too.
Okay.
Because just dealing with people, and because we living in time, and in the process of living, issues that we walk through in times, or circumstances that we walk in times, this might be a day where an issue or circumstance that was devastating happened to me. And now you coming at me. And if your voice is not, I'm just going to say not pleasing, only because I'm in a place where something happened on this day Could have been 10 years ago, 30 years ago. It can be devastating to the person too, so you got to be kind of careful. For example, I'm very vulnerable on the days of my mother transitioning or my father transitioning. So you better be very careful what you're saying to me on them particular dates or that month, you know what I mean? So yeah.
You went from day to month, but I get it because
Right.
mentioning that today's my brother's born day, and so I posted something. My mother wanted me to post something, and I took time to put that on Facebook. And people don't always get the sensitivity of what someone may be going through, especially when there's a loved one that has made a transition. So that's all part of our makeup and who we are. So we can be very sensitized at those times. And again, communication is key. And when I talk about communication, it's because I don't know those dates for you, for Apostle, or those particular times that you may be vulnerable. But again, if we have conversation and get to know each other more thoroughly, then we may be aware of those dates, or even to give an encouraging word today. Like for my mother, it's like, this is for me to be a good day just to celebrate and sit and have good words with her about my brother, because we can do encouraging things as in the celebration thereof, and again, being mindful, as Apostle said, of that time, just because and reactions could happen for anything. We can get set off just because I was rushing to get started today. And now, because I was behind time, I'm rushing. And now you ask me what's taking so long. And I'm like, listen, because I'm the one out of place. And it's like, no, breathe, go easy, because the calm man always wins. That's something my father always told me. You stay calm, you good money.
I like how you put that. If I may say something as I'm listening, I like what you just said, and I like what Apostle said. It's not always what is said, it's how it's said to a person. Because even showing graciousness in times that you don't want to show graciousness, that shows a level of maturity too. Because in my current job, I manage a staff of 7 people. So no matter what I'm dealing with, I still have to, and if you will, and I'm gonna say this, and I think every one of us can agree with this on this conversation, every one of us needs to go through sensitivity training with people. You know why? Because you get to identify where they're at actively and connect or find a better way to communicate. And I just wanted to say I agree with you, Apostle Bays and Master Rob. Communication is vital, but it's how it's communicated that's also vital as well. And like the scripture says, with graciousness, just think about how God deals with us as human beings, as humanity and divinity. God is not sitting there beating down your door as some hardcore parent. So the same graciousness that he displays to us, you know what? It makes me think I need to be more gracious how he's gracious to me, because he comes to you where you're at. And I think we as people in being divine with other people, we got to know how to come to people where they're at. Not so much, and it's also attitude is vital, because if you're not in the mode to receive something, it's going to be hard to communicate anyway. And I'm going to just leave it at that.
Well, thank you for that. Elder Verdell, you were going to say something. I saw your hand up. You got to unmute yourself there because you are muted. Touch your phone.
No, turn that thing down very quickly. No, I was just sort of like agreeing with what, has been said, because I had 8 women under me and that I had to speak to several times, but I know I had to control myself when I speak to them, because they could get real upset. And then there would be a whole lot of little agony among us, and, and don't want to do what I say do because of the tone of my voice. So I know I had to work with that, but I agree with what has been said. We have to watch how we say it and in the tone of voice that we say these things to people when we are talking. And just think about a teacher in a classroom with 20 kids, and maybe like 5 or 6 of them didn't understand what she was saying, and she'd gone over and over and over with it, and then she'd get upset because they're not getting what she said. But we really have to watch our tone of voice when we're speaking to people, because when we get kind of up there, that aggravates me, and it could put fear in a child when you're raising your voice. And that's one thing that I do know parents have to watch how you talk to your children. Because when you start raising your voice, that put fear in a child, and maybe in adults as well. But I do know it put fear in children.
You know what? I'm going to agree with you on that, because even as adults, if somebody comes at us the wrong way, immediately by human nature tells you to immediately throw up a defense, right?
That's right.
So even in sensitivity training on how we talk to people, in my line of work, every morning I have Power 15 with my team. And Power 15 is everybody gets a chance to say something in the room and address the elephant in the room. So this way, everybody's on point. This way, we know how to attack the situation tactfully. Because a lot of times when the spirit of offense comes, sometimes that spirit of offense comes because of what was said in the room, in the tone in which it was said. And we don't like to talk about that. But tone, verbiage, body language, 85% of communication is nonverbal.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
That's right.
I like that.
Yeah.
What did you label you guys have every day? What is it called?
Power 15.
Power 15.
I have Power 15 with my team every morning. And
Awesome.
we discuss things, we throw it on the board, we address elephants in the room, we address offenses, defenses, and we talk. And it's not so much me being a facilitator or a leader, even though I started it. Now it's to pass the baton where everybody's in the room. Let's talk effectively.
Right. And when I gave the definition of communication, is to exchange thoughts, messages, information by speech, signals, writing, and behavior. And so everything that we're doing, people are paying attention to. And so in that, like you just said, body language, because, you start talking and I start looking away.
Right.
That already set it off. When you start looking out the window, because that means I'm already tuned out of this conversation. You can't tell me nothing.
Right.
And that nose start flaring, eyebrows are already up here. You got a whole new arched eyebrow, or you fold your arms, and it's like you didn't have to go to class for that to know that that person is done with you already. I love the training suggestion. And again, if you can go to a training suggestion, the things we're saying, we are giving that information right now, and the Bible gives you those steps how to talk and what to do so that you can have a better level of communication with each other. And again, when we do those things, like Jimmy just mentioned about the training, my family, we've done that many times. We're dealing with we call it open forum, where we get and we sit down and discuss things with each other that we do not like about you. And it'll be one person in the hot seat, but then we can also give the pros and cons, or, the good and the bad. We don't just give, you this, you this, you this, but we might give also the things that you excel in. So we're going to give you all of that. And then at some point you'll get to talk also. It's not about going back and forth, but it's about us beginning to open up these things so that we can be better together as a family, and nothing can break us apart because we began to talk together. And they say a family that prays together stays together. Again, prayer is conversation. I see your hand raised, Jimmy.
Yes, I just want to piggyback off of what you just said, Master Rob and Apostle, because even as a parent right now, I have 2 children. The way I was raised, I now raise my children how God raises me. With love and kindness and grace have I drawn you, right? That even if I discipline you, you still know that I love you. And even when we have Power 15s in the morning, for every negative thing that I'm going to coach you about, as your manager, I need to find 7 positive things to bring that out about you as well. Because if we're in the business of building people, then you got to build where people are at and really identify. That's why I love you so much in communication, you and Apostle Dad. I love you guys because you guys are in the business of building and communicating and language and verbiage where people are really at. I lose people. This is how you can lose somebody in 5 minutes of conversation by what you say to them. You can either lose them or keep them.
Yeah.
Right.
So important.
And it's
scientifically done.
Yeah. Go on, Apostle.
No, I'm done. I'm done.
It's a delay.
I said that's so true, because not only that our body language and what we say and how we say it, they still looking at our lifestyle too. So all that has to play a part of when you're dealing with people. Because if you start telling them something and they're looking at you and they saying, guess what? You're not even living what you're saying.
They're going to say that.
You better believe it. And they're going to reject what you're saying. So that's why I say it's so important that all three work together. Your tone has to work together. Your body language has to work together, and your lifestyle of your living, of what you're teaching. You're living what you're teaching. You're practicing it.
Let's have, not to cut you, let's also have some water. Dionyse is reminding us to drink water. She's not on camera, but she's reminding us it's time to drink some water. Go on.
Thank you for that. We appreciate that. If I may say something real quick, Apostle, I love what you just said because it makes so much sense. Because coming from being a preacher's kid into the streets, if you will, everything is body language. I can know within seconds of looking at you what you about just by body language, what type of time, as the young people would say, what type of time you on. And it's effective that even, I heard Bishop Jake say this, Apostle, this gonna bless you. Even in correction, if I correct my children at volume 2, it's just as effective versus volume 7. Yeah. You know why? Because I can still, my children know that even after correction, my children still come to me, Daddy, I love you. That's when you know you've effectively communicated properly to people. But your first test is with your children, if you have children. Because even if Apostle needs to correct me on something, it's well received if he says, son, let me talk to you real quick. Because he's at volume 2. But if he was at volume 7, do you think I would be in a place of receptivity? No. You know why? Because he's at 7. So it's either, human nature says, either match the tone or me just chill.
I know that, right? For real.
Right, because you know why? Because now that sound is very important. It's penetrating.
Say so, sir.
It's penetrating into your ears, and it is affecting your brain. It's affecting your brain and your mind. Oh yeah.
Say it, Apostle.
Oh yes.
Say it, Apostle. Please say it.
Okay, 1 second. Sandra, what are you going to say? And then Elder Verdell right after that.
No. I wanted to ask a question because it's so funny. Like, this conversation is something I had with my daughter earlier this week. And she was telling me about a tone that I'm not aware of, that I'm projecting into the conversation. I thought I was being calm and, good. but she was perceiving some tone that I was exuding in the conversation and I'm not aware of. So what do you do when this is the situation?
Okay, in all honesty, it is so important to pause and listen. And in those moments when someone is calling out your shortcoming or your character defect or whatever, let me make sure I use the right words. I don't want to scare y'all.
You're not.
No, I was about to say I can get a little street. It'll mess you the hell up. Listen to what I'm saying, because they say something and they call you out. First of all, you're gonna get tight because it's true. So now you got to put on the you got to pause for a moment and breathe. You got to breathe. Breathing is essential because you already want to say, look, that can't be me because I don't be having no attitude like that. And if you really stop right then, you probably already got it right then when you're getting ready to defend yourself. So it is advantageous because I was riding with my peoples one time. We were going somewhere and he started wanting to give me the whole points of my issues or whatever. And I was driving, so I speeded up a little bit. You know, you want to turn the music up, but then you're trying to say, okay, I'm gonna listen. I'm open-minded, and I'm willing. So I try to turn the music, try to turn the music down a little bit. Because now you're hearing all this and you processing, is that me? And a lot of you wants to say, no, that can't be me. But then there's the part that shows you who you are for a moment. Don't mean that you got to be wrong all the time, but there are things with like that Jimmy just mentioned about the training. So it's all part of training. And if you're open-minded, you could even begin to take a self-inventory. And he just used something that was important, the number where you're at, talking on level 2 or versus, look, why you got that broom up right now? I could say that to you and you'd be like, no, he didn't just ask me about this broom, probably never come to the platform again. You know what I'm saying? Or I could say, what are you doing? Are you having fun? And it's all how you say. You can tell people to clean your shoe, but if you do it the right way, they'll wipe it off. But if you come at them sideways or with the wrong tone, I mean, you can look at people. I look at people, and if you say one thing, you could already tell by the way they twitched if you need to continue this conversation. And so the same way you're giving that sensitivity, or it's not even a judgment, but you're being wise of what you're dealing with, you have to do it to yourself. Because whatever you're doing unto someone else, you got to take that inventory or begin to look at yourself, critiquing yourself in that same manner. Making sense?
It makes sense. However,
I
just thought I was using my regular normal tone. I did not hear a difference in my tone. And so it's kind of hard to wind back to somewhere that, as far as you're concerned, you've never been.
Right.
So how do you deal with that? How do you get to?
Well, the way I see it, it might not have been that you were angry or anything like that, but that was the way you was expressing yourself to her. That's all that was. So, and all you had, and maybe you could just tell it, I had to do that too when I had 8 women that were under me. And, I had my tone might have gotten a little bit higher, but I let them know I'm not arguing with you. I'm only talking to you. So I want you to get what I'm saying. And that's just the way I speak. Because some people, it's not as easy as some people when you're trying to explain situations. Some get high and some get low. And that the way you were doing, you wasn't really all upset. You was only trying to let that person know what you were trying to get over for them to understand what you were saying. So, I mean, I don't see where you have to apologize.
Right.
But she used that that point as a point of attack.
And to her, hold on, Apostle gonna say something. I'm gonna ask him. Right? There's a lot of hands up. Go on, Apostle.
But you got
hold on, Jimmy.
Go ahead, Apostle.
You got to look at it in 2 ways. She's telling you
Mm-hmm.
that's affecting her.
Yes.
The tone is affecting her.
Right.
Right.
Now okay,
Okay.
you might not recognize the 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 tone,
Yeah.
but y'all in a conversation,
Uh-huh.
and the conversation has to be what? An honest conversation.
Right.
Right? Okay, so now she's addressing or telling you about your tone because now it's affecting her from hearing you. If she can't hear you, she's not going to understand you.
Mm.
You understand? And then you got to understand that the level of the person that you're talking to, she's not 12 no more. She's your daughter and always will be
Yeah.
your daughter. You see how my tone went up?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Okay.
understand.
But she let me just finish. So she's looking at it too at the same time. When the tone goes up, she putting up a defense.
Oh, she don't want her to talk that way to her.
Wait a minute, mother. You gotta listen to what he's saying because he's coming with a point, and I get yours too. But let finish, Apostle.
So she's putting up a shield now. She's putting up a block now because she's looking at you and says, you know, I respect you as mother, but I can't hear you right now because the way you're speaking to me.
Now,
I understand.
hold on. I'm gonna add something to that with that too. Now, because I see, I'm gonna go here, mother or elder, because I get it. Now, I'm gonna mess with you. Y'all put your seatbelts on. I'm gonna say this because we might go back and forth. Sometimes when it comes to women, they hit a tone. And when they hit that tone, I see you, Valencia. I've got you in a minute. Sometimes it's a tone, and like you said, you really are just trying to convey a message.
Yes.
So wait a minute, because look at your body language. Like you're going to punch somebody, boom, boom, right now. The deal is, we have to find the medium that works for each other, so that I'm not offensive because I got to play. No, it's like take it back down, come back down. So then I got to go easy, so we can both find how to dance together in this conversation. And like you said, I don't see me being wrong, and you probably are not intentionally or even trying to be wrong. But if we can't find that balance, like that equalizer, and get that right tone, it's going to be off. So that's why when I apologized to my mother or to Elder in the very beginning, I was like, what can I do to make it better? So maybe ask the question, well, what can I do to communicate more effectively than I'm doing? Because you think you're doing a good damn job. However, to her, you're yelling, and there's that little tone, like, when the kids hit that high note that only the kids can hit, and it just makes you kind of cringe. You don't want to hear that note sometimes. Sometimes it's cool and sometimes it's not. So we have to find a balance. Okay, real quick before anyone else, Valencia had her hand up.
Real quick, I just wanted to insert this.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Go on.
Okay. Because one thing too that I have to do with myself, body language, especially with women, says a lot. Even though you may think that you're at a tone that's calm, you have to think about body language, that facial expression. So even, at home and when I'm on the job, when I'm talking on the phone, I have a mirror in front of me so I can see the way that I look, because people can tell your, how you feel in your, it comes out in your expression is what I'm trying to say. So you have to be mindful of that nonverbal, that look that you may have while you're communicating.
Okay.
Right.
That's true.
That was the issue, because I don't think my voice was raised, because I know from the point in my apartment, if I was supposed to raise my voice, the entire building would probably hear me. And